So the WBC, the World Baseball Classic, wrapped up last week, and this is our first chance we've had to talk about that amazing championship game and really the amazing semifinal games. Because when we were doing our draft, the fantasy draft last week, Japan and Mexico were playing, and that ended up being one of the best finishes I've ever seen in the history of my life.
The whole history of the life of my baseball times.
Yes.
That's how you're supposed to say that.
Okay. Going forward, henceforth and forever. That's how we shall address that. But anyway, so Japan walked off Mexico. For those of you who might have missed it, went on to play the USA in the final, and that ended up being an absolutely fantastic game as well.
Totally
Like we couldn't
fantastic.
have hardly have asked for a better final. It came down to Shohei Ohtani coming in as the closer to face Mike Trout with 2 outs, with the score at 3-2. Ohtani, like they worked the count full. Ohtani ended up striking out Trout. Game over, 3-2. Japan wins the entire thing. But Brig, what was it you said about it? It was you said you called it majestic?
It was pure majesty. Yeah.
Majesty. Yes, that was the word. And it was majesty everywhere.
It was pure majesty. I mean, think about it. You got 2 of the very best players of all time facing off against one another. One representing Japan, one representing Team USA. They're both juggernaut lineups. And then it comes down to the final pitch of the final at bat of the final game of the championship run. I mean, and Mike Trout mashes, right? And Shohei Ohtani's got 102 in the tank. And it's just that splitter is just filthy. And so it just whoop. And there was one pitch that went by him that was a pass ball. It was a good thing there was nobody on base, but that was the only pitch I think. I can't decide if he missed on it or if the catcher missed. I think he missed. I think Ohtani's the one that pulled the string too hard and missed.
I think he did too. Yeah, it was a little. I think it went a little bit farther out than he wanted it to. But when it came down to it, though, I saw somebody tweet after the game. They said, "So let the rest of MLB know the only thing that you need to get Mike Trout out is a 102-mile-an-hour fastball and a wipeout slider that breaks a foot and a half. That's all it takes.
No big deal." And it really does break about a foot and a half. It was
huge break on that slider.
Oh, it was just filthy, man.
The thing that I thought was really interesting, though, about that plate appearance with Trout, like this is getting really deep with it, is that I feel like a lot of teams pitch Trout inside. They try to jam him, saw him off,
Yeah.
But Ohtani never went on the inner half of the plate. He stayed away from them the entire time.
Well, unless it was right down the pipe.
Right. But yeah, it was middle away the entire time. And I think a lot of that has to do with the speed, right? He's throwing 102. And if you're working 102 down that outside half of the plate and then you throw that slider, then I think that's why he swung at that last pitch, because what do you do? But
I don't know.
Anyway,
It
was textbook pitching from Ohtani. It was a straight up clinic. It was amazing to watch. This championship, this was Japan's 3rd WBC title out of the 5. They own 3 of them. USA has 1. Dominican Republic has 1 as well. One of the best things though, that I feel like came out of this after the fact was Mike Trout texted his manager, Phil Nevin, and he said, the WBC, he said, made me think about how bad we want to get back to the playoffs. And I'm glad that it took Mike Trout playing a couple of meaningful games to really get the competitive juices flowing, Brig.
yeah. So I called it. I texted you right before this at bat, and I was like, watch Mike Trout strike out right here.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I was like, I knew it. I just could feel it in the air or something. I don't know.
Well, then it's one of the things that we talked about. We were because we watched, for those of you who don't know, we watched which is probably pretty much everybody, but we watched the USA Mexico game sitting out on the patio at the Caesar Sportsbook just outside Chase Field. So we could hear what was going on in the game. We could hear, like, if there was a big hit, we could hear it, and then we saw it on the TV. But anyway,
we felt like 8-year-olds at the polo grounds, like looking over the fence.
Yeah, we kind of did. Yeah, exactly. But like, it was one of those things where we were watching Mike Trout through this whole thing very closely, just because he was named Captain America, right? He was the guy who's supposed to lead this team to a title because he's the best player of his generation. Has been dubbed that for a while, right?
Long time, yeah.
But the thing that we both saw, and we talked about this at length during that game is that people talk about the clutch gene. Jordan had the clutch gene. Kobe had it. LeBron didn't have it at first, but apparently has it now. There are certain guys who have it. Apparently, Trey Turner has it big time.
Derek Jeter has it.
Derek Jeter has it. Absolutely, Derek Jeter has it. Ken Griffey Jr.
That's all he's got sometimes.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Well, more on that later because I actually read something this weekend that was really interesting about that. But anyway,
cool.
Mike Trout doesn't seem to have it.
I don't think so.
That he was getting hits in spots where it was like, yeah, you need a base runner, you need to get somebody on base, but it wasn't a big spot. He got a double in the first inning of that championship game, and then we didn't see him again. He needed to get a big hit. You expect Mike Trout to get a big hit, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen in the World Baseball Classic, and so it's interesting to me that we have a guy who is, like I said, I even called somebody out on the streets after one of the games.
Yeah,
over the weekend.
We talked to him.
Yeah. Some guy said that Mike Trout was what?
The Mickey Mantle.
And I said, well, hold on, he's got to win more before we can call him.
We were like,
Mantle.
whoa,
yeah, it was
guy.
like straight up though, like you can call him the best player of his generation because he is. Nobody has put on quite the show that he has to this point. I mean, Shohei Ohtani aside, right? Because I feel like that's different. But at the same time, though, Mike Trout just he doesn't seem like he has the clutch gene.
Yeah, it's worrisome for sure. And you brought it up that he's past his prime. And
last year.
I think you're right. I think this was evidence that maybe he is.
It's feeling like it. And I don't think that chronic injury is helping him at all either.
Oh, I don't think so. You're absolutely right.
Because I think
once you screw up your back, nothing is right again.
Yeah.
There's no going back to zero.
So I have Trout's postseason numbers up right now. He is 1 for 12. That one was a solo home run in the ALDS against the Royals in 2014.
Whoa. That's a small sample size, but it still is indicative of what we've seen. And the WBC, I guess, put a big spotlight on that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it'd be really interesting to see what happened if the Angels were to somehow make the playoffs this year to see how he performed.
Yeah, they're not going to.
I don't think so either.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we will. But so, Brig, was there a team or a player who, I guess, that I don't know if surprised is the right word, but I guess pleased, like you were happy to see the way they did, or you're disappointed with the way they performed?
So Lars Nootbaar obviously has been fun, and the way he's leaned into not just his role on the field, but his role as a spokesperson for the game of baseball and as an international personality has been phenomenal. That's what I need Mike Trout to be more like that. You can't change people. Obviously, we can't just insert Mike Trout's new personality. It's not going to happen. So we're not asking for that. We can't ask for that. But we also couldn't ask for a better mouthpiece than Lars Nootbaar. So I thought that was really cool. I also did not know Randy Arozarina's story as well until the WBC.
Right, because we were both shocked that he was playing for Mexico. Now we find out why. That's amazing.
Yeah, I have been thrilled. So he did grow up in Cuba. This is the way the story goes. He grew up in Cuba, and then he defected to play baseball, and he moved his family from Cuba to Mexico. And then they asked, he's been petitioning the Mexican government for citizenship, I guess for years, but then he put the gas on, he hit the gas pedal and said, I want to represent Team Mexico, and I can't do that without Mexican citizenship. So they granted him citizenship like the year before the playoff rounds began, and he could work out with the team. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, super cool. And he was one of the top 5 players in the entire tournament.
Totally agree.
He was absolutely unreal. I wouldn't be surprised if that carried over and we saw him finish top 5 or 10, but from top 5 in MVP voting this year. I don't know.
I really need that.
If he has that kind of year, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. If this is indicative of the year he's going to have, then yeah, it's going to be top 5. I think I could be anyway. Yeah, I thought that was so that the thing. So how do I say this? On the field play is one storyline that I always pay attention to, obviously. But then there's the real human element, the human interest stuff off the field. That's to me where the money is made. That's the magic stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's reflected on the field, or it's ignored while you're on the field, right? If you have a parent that dies, or you get in a hideous accident, or you get rung up on some legal charge or whatever, and if you can maintain your play on the field, or if your play on the field suffers because of it, those contextual clues I love. So that's why this thing about Lars being the spokesperson and Randy Arosarena's story have all really grabbed my attention.
Yeah.
That's why they're my favorite parts.
I think it's so cool. A kid from Southern California is like bridging the gap between the U.S. and Japan in baseball. It's almost like meeting Ohtani in the middle, right?
Totally.
Like, yeah, they're like the bridge between Japan and American baseball right now, and it's awesome.
It's awesome.
Like I'm curious how many Newt Bar jerseys are going to be sold at Busch Stadium at the Cardinals home opener.
Tons, dude.
Tons. Yeah, they're going to run out of them. It's going to be awesome.
What about you?
So the biggest surprise to me, honestly, was the disappointment of the Dominican Republic.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that's crazy is that they go out there and they lost to Venezuela, which is kind of like, okay, Venezuela is a really good team, and they were on a heater until they ran into the U.S.
Totally.
Right? But then it's like, well, shoot, now you got to win a game. Like, okay, but they've got the talent to go out there and win a game to stay alive in this thing. But then they run into Puerto Rico. It's like 3 great teams, only 2 can move on. That's the nature of the beast,
Yeah.
I didn't think that the Dominican Republic was going to be the odd man out in that group, and I was shocked, legitimately shocked that they were, because they're basically an all-star team just like the U.S.
Right.
But so is Puerto Rico and Venezuela.
Right. So. I got to be honest, though, the way Great Britain showed up against the U.S. is another thing that shocked me.
Yes.
And I can't decide whether that's a testament more to how the U.S. didn't show up, or more to how Great Britain overproduced based on our expectations.
Yeah, they did. They definitely overperformed, I feel like, or outperformed our expectations.
That's what I was trying to say.
I agree with you on that. As far as, well, I know what you're saying, like, because I absolutely agree with you as far as Great Britain went, and I don't think the U.S. took anything seriously until after they lost to Mexico. But fortunately, that was the second game in pool play.
No kidding,
right?
Because it was a dangerous situation.
Grossly underestimated Mexico, and then it came time for Canada, and that poor kid who's 21 years old, has never played.
No, he was not even that. 19. I think he was 19.
That's right, 19-year-old kid, and he just gets shelled.
Oh, that was so hard to watch.
It was it was there was 2 parts to it, right? Especially being in the stadium, because on the one hand, you're loving watching your team just crush this pitcher. Like, on the one side, you don't care who it is who's getting shelled. You just are so happy to see all these home runs flying out of the park, hits, and everybody batting around all the time. But on the other hand, like you said, the human element side of it was tough. Seeing this kid just being like, I just got thrown to the wolves.
He really did.
Like, even the manager had to come out and try to keep it light. He's just like, what do you do?
Yeah.
You signed up for this thing.
Yeah, but they put him in that spot. That's the problem.
They put him in that spot.
Gave him to an angry Team USA, and that was bad news. You got to give the kid credit, though. I mean, he stuck it out. He hung in there. He gave him his best. And he's 19. He's never played above, AA or single A?
Well, and think about this, too. When he makes it to the bigs, he can be like, this lineup is not nearly as good as what I've faced already. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, exactly.
And he made it through the lineup, too, that he can be like, I've faced 1 through 9 better than this. I can do
this.
I hope he takes that confidence through all of the minor leagues and into the big leagues, because
he needs to.
Nothing is going to chew him up and spit him out like what happened there, and like buzzsaw against an angry Team USA.
Wow. It's a great story. And boy, I've never seen a more Canadian personification than the manager when he came out with his goatee and his enormous smile. And he was like, our uniforms suck, but I'm here for you, man. And he just It's like he put his arms around him and just gave him a big hug with his big smile,
And then I bet you, I bet you when he came out again, go get yourself a jelly donut. You're on the back of the dugout.
We got a box of Timmy's. We ordered them from Buffalo, New York, because they didn't have to go through customs.
Yeah.
That's the closest one we could find.
Have some chocolate milk, eh? Yeah, take off, eh?
I bet you that's exactly right. That's awesome.
So the next WBC is in 2026. Obviously, the locations have not been announced yet. I wish they had, so I could start planning my trip, because it's going to happen.
Same.
100%. But when they are announced, I'm assuming probably 2025. We will let you know, because we are already looking forward to it. And like I said, we're going to be there. We're going to be at one of those pools, because we couldn't get enough of it and we want more.
No.
So,
and I think this time, if we can, we're going to try and hit Asia.
That'd be amazing. At the very least, Florida.
Yes, you're right.
So
I
was actually
get ourselves to Korea. That'd be amazing.
That'd be outstanding. So I was actually looking back through at the previous locations, and I forgot that 6 years ago in 2017, it was played in Japan, Puerto Rico, Mexico City, and LA. The majority of it was played in LA. And I was like, man, that'd be super easy to and awesome to get to. But Puerto Rico, I'm all for that. I'll go to Puerto Rico, Brig.
Let's go to Puerto Rico.
Down with it. I wouldn't be surprised, because they've done it in Puerto Rico a couple times. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was in Puerto Rico again in 2025 or 2026.
Yeah, that'd be so cool. Man,
so let's get our passports and we'll head over to Puerto Rico.
Okay.
But in the meantime, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back with our meaningless predictions for the 2023 Major League Baseball season.